All right, good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon, whatever may be the case. Again, my name is Cecil Young. I'm coming to you again live and in color and hope you to understand the importance of what I'm going to bring to you today as I've brought to you in the past. It's very important that you understand where I'm coming from, and that's why I've been showing these posters and these different exhibits to try to get you to understand that I really need your support to help me continue on doing what I wanted to do, what I've been doing for the last 60 years, which is to help those of them that need to be helped. And I've been doing that voluntarily almost in the one sense of the word speaking, because most of the time, most of the work that I've done over and above has been extra on my own time. And I did it because I was called by God to agree on him if he allowed me to get out of where I was at, which was not functioning too good in school, to give me a chance to get out of school, because the amount of beatings I was getting because I wasn't functioning, wasn't complying with the teacher's will in that fashion. So as a result of that, okay, I was not really functioning that well. So I made a deal with the Lord and my mother, and if he give me a chance to get out of school, I would prove to them that in height of what they thought I would not be able to become, I thought I could be, and I have become. And before my mother left this world, she seen me become that. So I thank God for him being able to allow me to be able to use the expertise that he's given me to prove to the world that in height of our handicapped, in height of where many of us come from, if just given an opportunity, we can do so many things as I've been able to do. Things that I couldn't even imagine I was able to do. But I was able to do because God guided me, because I definitely wasn't taught per se. You know, as someone who's been in the eye of the storm out there for years and years, I love what I've been able to do, because you got to look at the fact that I was told that I would never be anything. But I knew back then, even though I was told that, I knew I had a strong back and I had a strong mind, and hiding what they thought of me. I did a whole lot. And this is why I want to show you these pictures here of the Citizens Committee we formed back in the days of, and I think it was 95 when Gannon was mayor. There was a time when a lot of our black elected officials and other community folks were saying that the mayor was not responding to their needs. So as a result of that, me as a community activist and someone who gave a damn and always had no problem in using my resources, I helped put together these committees along with Senator Ed Gomes at the time, Councilman Warren Blunt, who became Councilman, James Holloway, Shirley Beam, Fleeta Hudson, all of these folks, Julian Braxton, NACP president, Carolyn Knopf, former president of NACP, Jerry Johnson, Dave Roebuck, Francis Johnson, all of the above. These folks, my brother Tony and Michael, came together to try to form a committee that sit down with the mayor to try to get him to understand the importance of helping us help ourselves. And I say this is the only way we're going to be able to turn our neighborhood around, is by us coming together, talking about issues that affect us all. And what really troubles me is that after all them years of fighting and struggling and trying to get these folks together, after finally getting them together, we've come to find out that most of everyone that you see on the poster here that I mentioned, Ed Gomes became state senator again, Fleeta Hudson at the time was still city clerk, Shirley Beam was city councilwoman, James Holloway was a city councilman. But again, at that time, Mayor Gannon wasn't in bed with them all and didn't really know where they was coming from. So as a result, a lot of them felt like they were being left out. So by us forming this Citizens Committee with Jerry Johnson, David Daniels, we ended up getting together with a number of folks, Ralph Ford, district leader, Councilman Newton, and we got together and put together these folks together to meet with these elected officials. And as you see here, here's Mayor Gannon meeting with us at the Moon Yacht Club and at the Raffo Taylor Center. We would meet to talk about the importance of him being able to help us put folks in a position to help us help ourselves. And to our overwhelming surprise, he have done a lot of that. Because as you see, Ernest Newton is now city council. He has a good job with the city, connected with the city. Fleeta Hudson no longer have a problem with the mayor not stopping by her office, not wanting to communicate with her, as she felt like he didn't in the past because of her being one of the highest black elected officials. She felt kind of shunned because he wouldn't stop by as much. I never stopped by, but he finally did, and she began to feel good about that. What troubles me is that Warren Blunt became city councilman. Ernest Newton, again, like I said, all of the above folks that we helped put together this committee to meet with these elected officials to find out why come we're being treated this way. It really troubles me that now we can't get together no longer like we used to, because most of them done got jobs. And when you get those kind of jobs, you get caught in wanting to do the Pharaoh's bidding, and that's what has happened basically with our committee. So as a result of that, our committee disbanded. It broke up because a lot of them got caught up in doing the Pharaoh's bidding, doing whatever he wanted done, and forgot about the importance of meeting with our people. But I say today that the only way we're going to turn our neighborhood around is by involving people like this. We have to organize. We can't go down there and send someone down there to represent our needs by themselves. They need to be made to sit down with us on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, to talk about the issues that brought us together in the beginning, and to talk about how can we impact on those of them that are in a position to help us help ourselves. Now you see here Clarence Craig, Director of the Housing Authority, was here at this meeting. We called him to account, okay? Ernest Newton, Senator Alvin Penn, he was also at that meeting. We finally again bring together the folks together to make a difference. Beverly Caldwell, former attorney from the West End, as I said before, these folks here made a difference, and they wanted to make a difference, and that's why I say again, I'm tired, and I'm about ready to wrap it up and then let this thing go, because again, you know, I find myself always being told that it's all about me, when it ain't ever been about me. It's always been about we. And that's what troubles me too as well, because again, I want to give you again these posters, which I've given you before, where I was censored from the city of Bridgeport by being told that I no longer can speak in City Hall because of me using the nigger word. Now I know some folks have a problem with that word. I don't have no problem with the nigger word, okay? I mean, we've been called niggers and all of the above in time. It's not the word, it's how you use that word. And if I say they make me feel like I'm being treated like a nigger and I'm a black man, why should they get so bent up out of shape to give me a letter banning me from speaking in City Hall when they know good and well that as council members, they do not have that right, they do not have that power to tell me I can't speak in City Hall because of how I said they made me feel. But NIAS said they could, and they banned me. What troubles me every day at City Hall, okay, you will hear them after they go into session. Before they go into session, they will salute the American flag, that we all are created equal, and all of the above. Yet and still, you violate my First Amendment right. Now, the city attorney, Mark Anesthesia, knows that this is against the law. You can't violate my First Amendment right. Now, I'm trying not to go to jail. I'm trying not to go down there to snatch the mic. I'm tired and don't want to go down there with my mic, if necessary, to continue talking, because it's been a year and a half that I've been deprived the right to speak at City Hall, and that's a shame. Why am I being denied the right to speak? Because I dared to speak out about contaminated dirt piles that our kids on the east side, over on Kasuth Street and at the old health department, were playing on them dirt piles with that little light plastic. They were sliding up and down the hill piles that had been there for months and months and months, if not a year or more. Okay, these were contaminated dirt piles that they were bringing back into their homes, causing them to come down with illnesses that they don't even know where it came from. But they came sick because of these kind of piles that were left there at the city health department, where they were giving out WIC vouchers. That's what I got terminated for, basically, for something like that. And I'm saying it's a shame and a disgrace that that could happen. And when I had the Assistant Attorney General, Mitchell, take on this file, you see here the Assistant Attorney General Mitchell, who went through the trouble, who worked for the Attorney General at that time, Blumenthal, okay, who allowed him, as the Assistant Attorney General, to look into the allegations that I made about Mike Cohad, Gerald Weiner, Albert Murphy committing fraud and violating my civil rights. I said all of the above. I said all the above, yet and still I can't get no one to want to respond to that. Okay, now I'm being told after 2010, the state auditors did their findings and said in 2010 that the complaints that they filed on my behalf was given to the auditor, to the Attorney General's office. Now, when I called some 10 years later to ask Attorney General Tung, he says he can't find the files. He looked on Freedom of Information Department and found that the Freedom of Information said that there's no file in there pertaining to that, and that any file that I had against the Freedom of Information was denied, was passed over. Well, I didn't file no complaint with the Freedom of Information. He filed a complaint on my behalf. He gave the case number. He told me this is the case number that you would have to use if in the event you want to question or send anything else forward to this department. This is what the Assistant Attorney General Mitchell did for me on my behalf. And I'm saying here it is 2023, and I still being told that my files have been lost. So I'm pleading with you, the public, John Doe. Go to this website. Look at these names of these folks that violated my civil rights. Look at the names of Murphy. Albert Murphy, Chairman of the Labor Board. Mike Cohad, Gerald Weiner. These people violated the public trust. These are labor board commissioners. They have more power than state judges. They have that kind of awesome power. Now you say, who am I to say that they do? Well, think about it. If you remember 4 or 5 years ago, there were state employees that were receiving some kind of funds from some agency, and the governor at that time, I can't recall who it was, fired those folks who was taking those funds. Okay, but that labor board turned right back around and reinstated them all and put them back to work. And I had no problem with that, because if they can pay back for what they took, I have no problem with giving people a second chance, paying back the compensation that they took. Okay, everybody deserves a second chance. But you have city officials, Mark Anastasia, Dr. Evans, Jody Paul, all of these folks said I didn't come to work. Now, when you go to the YouTube and when you go to Soundview, you will see documentation showing you in black and white that I came to work on March 6, 2016. Okay, and I came to work on March 6, 2016 and said I was going for a colon exam on the 17th. You will see once you go to the website, look at these dates of the different times that I had the different shows with Soundview TV. I need your support. I need your help. Don't look at me as Cecil Young, who is he? He's an old community brother from the hood who done good because God has allowed me to do good. Look at me. Who would have ever thought I would have had the power to supervise these patrolmen, these sergeants, these folks? That's a sergeant and a patrolman. 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 I did that for 5 years. I got paid $625 a week, and I did it 7 days a week around the clock. Saturdays and Sundays and on holidays. I did it because I wanted to. I did it because I was able to make my people feel comfortable, feel safe. I made a difference. And if I don't do no more, I want to say thank you, Lord, for allowing me to do what you've allowed me to do. I feel good. Look at these residents from P.T. Barnum and Green Homes telling you it's a whole lot safer now. It's a whole lot quieter now. Those officers that were patrolmen who are now moved up in the ranks, who have now become sergeants, you can see that maybe some of what I've shown them had rubbed off on them. Because we don't hear the Father Panic shooting. We don't hear the P.T. Barnum shooting. We don't hear the Trumbull Garden shooting. We don't hear all of the fear that we used to have on the avenue that we used to have back in the days. Now, yes, it's still out there in different locations. And that's why it's so important that we meet with the residents. We meet with the community. We do real community policing. Real community means about going out in the neighborhood, getting to know the neighborhood, getting to know the folks. I got video shots of me playing basketball with kids and the community police officers. You got Deputy Chief Harness, Chief Hector Torres. You got Chief Garcia. You got Chief A.J. Perez. These were chief of police of the Bridgeport Police Department that I had supervision with, that I worked with over 5 years. And I taught them it wasn't about locking up, it was about preventing crime. And if I recall, out of the 5 years that I was there, my office was in Building 5 on the 2nd floor. I was in Green Homes on the 2nd floor, right up there in that office. My office was at in Building 5. And we didn't have no shooting. We didn't have no peeing in the hallways. We didn't have no mattresses and people laying in the hallways bugging out and tripping out. As a matter of fact, I don't think no one got arrested in the hallways. No one got arrested on the ground because they were there. They were there because I was there to make sure that they were supposed to be there and do what they're supposed to do, not try to see who they can run down and beat down and bring downtown, because as soon as you lock one up, another's going to replace that. So I said, instead of doing that, let's secure the property that you're supposed to be securing. Let's lock it down the best way we can, and then try to get these officers to understand the importance of identifying trouble spots and getting out their cars, moving around, communicating with residents, communicating with the business folks. When Mayor Tom Busey was mayor of the city of Bridgeport back in the days, he had assigned me as the mayor's community liaison officer. My job was to meet with the post car and the patrol car and the walking details, and to introduce these officers to the merchants, to introduce these walking details to the community at large. And that would have made a difference in our neighborhood. Now you say, we have it. Well, I say, where is it at? Now I'm not trying to tell on anybody. I'm not a whistleblower. That's not my cup of tea. I can blow a whistle now and that would cause this city to be inflamed. I can tell you what's on my mind and what I got that would cause this city to have an uproar that you ain't never seen and you thought was a way and a long time ago. I'm not that. I'm not a rat. I'm not a cop. I'm not my job to tell on what somebody else is doing when it don't relate to me. Okay, and even though it might have to affect me in terms of me paying out of my pocket because of what they may do per se, only time will deal with that for those of them that are being paid to seek out that and to pursue that. But me as a whistleblower, that is not my cup of tea. I blew the whistle about contaminated dirt piles. I blew the whistle about police being in our neighborhoods and not being able to be as effective as they could be and as they should be. As an elected city sheriff for 16 years in the city of Bridgeport, I had my uniform and I would wear my uniform proudly and walk around among the neighborhood and let folks see, look at me who was told I would never become anything. Look at what I have become. I'm 73 years old. I got what you call a master's degree in ghetto ecology. Where does it come from? Come from being in the eye of the storm, knowing what time it is. I can take any neighborhood in this city and quiet it down. without locking anybody up. I know how to get these officers to smile and to feel good about what they're doing and feel good about coming to work for Cecil Young, because at that time they was under my supervision. It was me who told them where to go and what to do and what the residents was expecting from them. These officer details was assigned to monitor buildings, monitor equipment, monitor other stuff. But me and my creativity, I said, let me lock those places down. Let me secure those places well, which I did. And as a result of that, I got to know these officers. I got to be able to talk to them. I had Deputy Chief Harness. I had Hector Torres. I had them all meeting in Green Homes in front of the building. And I got fired from Colin Vice, being told you ain't supposed to meet with them. Well, as a community activist, as someone who care about our people, I have a right to use my own time on my own time as I choose to. And I was told that I can't do that, but I did it anyhow. And I got fired from the Housing Authority for doing that, for having police that want to patrol the project, that want to be up under the supervision that they needed. I wasn't hired because they didn't want me. They hired me because they needed me. They hired me because they couldn't make them do what they're supposed to do. They couldn't make them watch each other and stay on their post, because you know how it is. They telling on one another. They couldn't tell on one another and leaving, so they had to hire me. And I didn't like the idea of just telling they're leaving, telling they're leaving. So I said, Earl, why don't you make me a liaison between the police and the community, and they would have to see me, and I would lay out goals and objectives. I made a goal and objective list, which I gave these officers, which dealt with them not only patrolling and monitoring our building, monitoring our equipment, making sure they wasn't taking the copper pipes out as fast as they put them in, but also, too, once that building was secured, sit in a position where you can prevent this gunplay. Sit in a position where you can stop down the traffic of people running in and out like they're going to McDonald's or Burger King. No, this is not Burger King. This is not Walmart. This is communities. And if you look in Green Homes now, if you look at Father Panic now, if you look at Marina Village now, you said those places are a whole lot quieter than they've ever been. Why? Because there are cameras mounted on the buildings. Huh? They got police details that are moving around, breaking up that crowd, keeping that atmosphere where people can feel comfortable, want to come outside and feel safe. PT is a whole lot quieter. Father Panic is a whole lot quieter. They got air conditioning in most of the units over there. Huh? They got people living in places where they feel good about living in, and they're keeping it up. They're keeping it up. And we need to be talking about, yes, giving people the right kind of opportunity to rise up. You'll be surprised at what they can do. All they need is an opportunity to be able to have a chance to be able to, hey, it's worth my while standing out my door and saying, get out in front of my lawn, stop dumping in front of my house, because you gave them some sense of pride. And I'm saying to the city of Bridgeport, that is why it was so important that we not only come out there and meet with residents throughout the city on a once-a-month basis, but we need to be on a regular basis. These are residents that live in our neighborhoods that need to be taught the importance of getting involved. They need to be taught the importance of helping us help themselves. We can't expect the police to come in here to quiet our neighborhoods down and to make our neighborhoods safe, to make us want to get involved. But if they get to know us, how can they get to know us? How can they get to know us? All they got to do is go to the website and see what Cecil Young has done. I wasn't paid to do this here. I wasn't paid to offer these ideas or come on this program to try to tell y'all what the Housing Authority has allowed me to do. I'm not here on behalf of the Housing Authority. I'm here on behalf of me, Cecil Young, community activist, telling you what I've been doing and why I've been doing it. Because I care about our people. I care about our community. Housing Authority did not instruct me to go tell these cops to meet with me. I asked them to have them meet with me so that they can hear my goals and our objectives to not only protect what they want, but also to protect the residents. That's why it's not the position you have, it's what you do with the position you have. And I took my position and I used it to help our people out. And then I ended up being persecuted, by black and white persecutors, people that look like you and me. The city council, the majority of city council members are black and Puerto Rican. And it ain't about black and white, it's about right and wrong. But when you talk about looking up to people that look like you and I, to find these people that when you go down there and talk to them, they look at you like, what's wrong with you coming down here, asking others to do something for you, and they don't say nothing, that eats you up. It eats you up, especially when you find yourself going down there month after month. You have no Connecticut Post, no Bridgeport Post writing you, fighting about your needs, fighting about your complaints. We are all alone. We are all alone. We need the press to stand up for us, to expose us in the condition that we are fighting against in order for us to turn these neighborhoods around. We can make a difference. But I need y'all to go to these websites and say, I'm not going to agree with Cecil Young because I like him. He think he's cute. He's all the above. No, I am a dropout. I am someone that was written off as going to be a failure, going to be someone that's going to be your burden. But I have become an asset. Why? Because God has used me to plant a seed in a way whereby I was able to bring the kind of harvest that make people feel good at night, feel good when they come home from school, feel good about where they live now. Where before they was ducking bullets, ducking stolen cars. They're not doing all that now because the police department has been out there now making a difference, moving around. They're not where they used to be or where they should be, but they can get there. But they're going to need more than just the normal tactics. They need to have sensitivity training. If I was chief of police, every one of these officers would be trained by someone like me, would be tutored by someone like me that would show them the smile goes a long way. Your smile will go a long way in terms of you communicating with these residents who are paying your taxes, who are paying you to want to protect them, make their neighborhood safe. They're not going to talk to you if they're afraid of repercussions. But if you talk to everybody, the good guys, the bad guys. And if you communicate with everybody, you will get to know who's who. You don't have to worry about Mary Jones telling you about David or Bubba or whatever his nickname is. You will know who Bubba and David is because you spent the kind of time that it's going to take to make the difference in these neighborhoods. We cannot do it alone. White folks cannot take our needs and turn our neighborhoods around. It is us who are left behind is going to have to come together and come together in a way where we're not have to feel like we're going to be intimidated by talking about what we need. Because we got kids that are growing up. And if we don't help them get what they need, it's not going to be safe for them. It's not going to be safe for you. It's not going to be safe for your family members. And that is why we have to stop sitting back yang, and start doing something about what we're talking about other than yang. Anybody can yang. I've done it. I showed you what could be done. In Hyde, I wasn't a trained cop. I'm not nobody that was trained by any special group or any organization. I wasn't in the military. I'm a community activist. But I rode in the back of the Howland Authority police detail Jeeps since I was 10 years old. I've been around police since I was 10 years old, riding around with the Howland Authority police details for years. They would wake me up at night. It's time to go home, Cecil, at 12 o'clock. Okay, I got exposed to being around folks who wore those uniforms, who I come to like, who I come to say, these guys are not bad. They're like you and me. But they've been trained to attack. They've been trained to look tough. They've been trained to show no fear. And as a result of their actions has caused folks to be polarized. Instead of coming together, they're pulling apart. And I'm saying now is the time for the kind of training they need that will help motivate them to see the importance of communicating. Communicating with these folks that they got to go knock on their doors. Communicating with these folks as to why they act the way they act when they approach about you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. We can make a difference. But we won't do it unless you come together. But you have to learn it's not anybody and everybody can do what I do. God has called me to do what I did, and I'm leaving you a map. I'm leaving you a diagram of showing you how you should have your police officers looking, what they should be doing. But you can't know it. You can't understand it unless you go to the website. Go to YouTube. Get on your phone right now. Take that phone, hang up that phone and dial this YouTube number and look at one of the videos I've been showing you about what they did to me. Did it to me? They'll do it to you. Huh? You say, huh? How long? Not too long. Why? Because I dared to care. What did Hitler do? They dictated and did what he did to the Jews. Huh? Why? Because of what? They took him for granted. Huh? We shouldn't be allowed to be taken for granted and allow people to become powerful, so powerful to a point where we're afraid to say anything at all. Because of those kind of mentalities allowed to fester, we now have been living in fear. We now have been taken on. I call myself what you call a modern day lynching. Back in the day, they would lynch us with a rope and beat us down to the back where the skin would pop up our back and roll down like water out of a stream. Huh? And then after that, they would hang us up and then choke us to death. No, now they're using an ink pen. They're using people that look like you and me to help do the lynching. It's what they call a modern day lynching. I think Clarence Thomas called it a modern day lynching. He was right. There is a modern day lynching method going on. And here's a good example of somebody being lynched because of me using the nigger word. Well, why wouldn't I use the nigger word? If you did what I did and being treated the way I've been treated, 17 years, I haven't worked a day in 17 years. My back is messed up. I got a back brace on my back. My leg is messed, ankle was messed up because I spoke out, because I dared to care. I'm seeing a psychiatrist, Dr. Winnick, 17 years now for extreme anxiety. Extreme anxiety because of what you brung me through and brung my wife through, brung my family through. And then when I turn around and look at my brothers who look like you and me that were elected to serve us, and they look at me like, Cecil, you still talking about that? Well, what would you be doing if somebody violated your rights? If somebody took what you earned and took you for granted and treat you like you were nobody, what would you do? You would say something. You would do something. And if you didn't, shame on you. I'm going to say something. I'm going to do something. It's my calling. It's my job. No one has the right to violate the public's trust. No one has the right to take advantage of people's rights just because they got authority and got power. They wouldn't have that power. They wouldn't have that authority if it wasn't for people like you and I telling them of the importance of respecting who's paying you, that you're supposed to be serving, not taking advantage of, not violating their rights. Help me help you get these police to do what I'm doing here, which is to communicate on a real level. They got time to do it in. There's no need in breaking no records or locking up everybody you see just because they committed a little minor crime. Talk to them. Find out what's on their mind. You don't need to stun gun everybody that you run up on or shoot down or beat down. Use diplomacy. Treat them like you would want to be treated if you were pulled over. Treat them like you would want to be treated if you did something and they would run up on you like you were a thug, like you were a gangster. You're not no gangster. You see on these stories where the cops run up on you with their guns all out. I understand they're concerned with their safety, but treat me like you would treat your neighbor, like yourself. Don't treat me like I'm some out of my animal. I'm a human being. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a homeowner who gives up, and I want you to help me help yourself, because that's what this is all about. So please, y'all, I need an attorney to get my First Amendment rights so I can speak at City Hall so that I won't have to go to jail for trying to demand that they give me the mic to speak, because sooner or later I'm going to have to do that. But I don't want to do that. So if there's a civil liberty union, a union or a labor union or any kind of union that can help me get the attention I need to find out why am I being violated in America, my rights to not speak, I would appreciate that. I thank you for listening to the program, but don't just listen, do something about it for me and yourself, because there go the grace of God could be you next. Thank you for listening.